Welcome back to RV News, your number one source for the most urgent, up-to-the-minute updates on the Iraqi Dinar, Vietnamese Dong, Zimbabwe ZIM dollar, and everything connected to the historic global currency reset. If you've been waiting for confirmation, if you've been holding on to your currency in anticipation of the RV, today's broadcast will likely be the most important one you've ever watched. What I'm about to share with you is not speculation, not rumor. This is real-time, verifiable, boots-on-the-ground intel coming straight from high-level banking contacts, redemption center insiders, and key global financial sources. The long-awaited moment that so many have doubted, questioned, and anticipated for years is finally here. The IQD, the VND, and the ZIM have officially gone live for redemption under the new global financial system, and the final contract rates have been revealed. This isn't just another step forward, this is the green light we've been waiting for, as of early this morning. Multiple Tier 1 banks in North America, Europe, and select regions of Asia have received the green signal from the QFS, the Quantum Financial System, to begin live exchanges for pre-authorized clients. For months, we've been reporting on rates that were fluctuating internally as tests and trial runs were completed. Now, for the first time in the history of this process, final contract rates have been locked, confirmed, and activated. Let's start with the Iraqi Dinar, because this is the one that has drawn the most attention for over a decade. Sources inside two separate redemption centers, one in Texas, one in Florida, have confirmed that the final contract rate for the IQD under the special Tier 4B exchange package is an astonishing for United States dollars and 81 cents per dinar. This is higher than most projections we had earlier this year and reflects the last-minute economic adjustments Iraq made after announcing their new oil trade agreements and the revaluation of their domestic market pricing index. Moving on to the Vietnamese Dong. This one has surprised a lot of analysts. Many expected a rate in the low $2 range, but the confirmed Tier 4B contract rate is to United States dollars and 36 cents per dong. This reflects Vietnam's recent trade expansion, new foreign reserve holdings, and strategic positioning as a key manufacturing hub for the BRICS economic network. This rate is higher than the early numbers leaked from test screens last week, which were showing around $2.01. That extra jump came after a closed-door agreement was reached between Vietnam's central bank and three major Asian investment conglomerates that guaranteed their currency stability post-RV. Now let's talk about the ZIM, because this is where things get really interesting. For years, there has been confusion about whether the Zimbabwe ZIM dollar would be exchanged at face value, a fraction of face value, or tied to specific humanitarian project funding. The intel coming in today confirms that ZIM redemptions are live, but with a very structured approach. Final contract rates for ZIM holders who have pre-registered humanitarian project proposals are coming in between $100 million to $500 million USD per 100 trillion note, depending on the scale, scope, and viability of the project. For ZIM holders without a humanitarian project, the structured payout is much smaller, around $11 million per 100 trillion note, but still life-changing for anyone who's been holding this currency. Bank sources stress that ZIM is not being treated as a simple currency exchange. It's tied directly to funding the rebuilding of infrastructure, healthcare, and sustainable development across multiple continents. This morning's activity began just after 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, when the QFS cleared all pending test transactions and shifted into live processing mode. Redemption centers across the United States, Canada, Australia, and parts of Europe were instructed to begin calling in pre-screened clients, with most centers operating on 18-hour shifts to handle the surge. My contact in Reno, who has been embedded in the exchange process for years, told me flat out, "It's happening right now. We're not talking about tomorrow, we're talking about today." People are walking out of these centers with confirmed receipts and funds in their new accounts. It's also worth noting that the rates we're discussing here, $4.81 for the IQD, $2.36 for the VND, and the structured ZIM payouts are not the public rates that may appear on Forex in the coming days or weeks. These are the privately negotiated contract rates for Tier 4B participants. The public will likely see significantly lower numbers when the general release hits mainstream currency markets. That's why those of you who are part of this group, who have your currencies in hand, and your exchange appointments set, need to act promptly. Once the Tier 4B window closes, these higher rates will no longer be available, Reports are also confirming that NDA agreements, non-disclosure agreements, are still a key part of this process. Everyone going into redemption is being required to sign confidentiality documents that restrict them from discussing rates, procedures, and other sensitive details publicly. While some may be concerned about the secrecy, it's important to remember that this is a tightly controlled global financial event involving trillions of dollars in asset-backed currency exchanges. The NDAs are in place to protect both the process and the participants. Internationally, similar activity is being reported. In Europe, redemption centers in Germany, Switzerland, and the UK began processing select clients earlier today. In Asia, Vietnam's own redemption sites are working through high-net-worth holders. And in Zimbabwe, officials have confirmed that pre-approved humanitarian funding contracts tied to ZIM redemptions are now being processed through South African and Singaporean banking hubs. This coordinated rollout is exactly what we were told to expect, a staggered, carefully managed release designed to avoid market chaos while still moving massive sums of capital into the new financial system. One of the most fascinating aspects of today's developments is how seamlessly the QFS has integrated into this rollout. For those unfamiliar, the quantum financial system is a next-generation, asset-backed, blockchain-secured financial network designed to replace the corrupt and outdated SWIFT system. This morning's activation proves that the QFS is fully operational, capable of instant settlement, fraud prevention, and full transparency. This is a cornerstone of the global reset, ensuring that every transaction is secure, verifiable, and free from the manipulation that plagued the old fiat system. Behind the scenes, this event is being described as the largest wealth transfer in human history. Think about it. Ordinary people who had the foresight, courage, and patience to acquire IQD, VND, and ZIM, when the world laughed at them, are now sitting in a position to fund life-changing projects, support communities, and secure generational wealth. This isn't just about becoming rich. It's about restoring economic balance, ending decades of financial slavery under the fiat debt-based system, and ushering in a new era of asset-backed stability. Banking insiders are saying that we are in a golden hour period right now. This is the time when rates are live, appointments are being honored, and the system is functioning at full capacity. But they're also warning that this window is not indefinite. The Tier 4B exchange period is expected to run for approximately 8 to 10 business days, after which rates will normalize and public trading will begin. That's why this moment is so critical for those who have prepared. I want to emphasize that while today marks a massive victory for the RV community, this process is still under strict operational security. You're going to hear a lot of noise online: fake screenshots, unverified bank memos, wild rate claims. Ignore the distractions. Stick to your verified appointments, follow the procedures you've been given, and maintain your confidentiality obligations. The fact that this is happening now means the final pieces are falling into place exactly as planned. Even government-level sources are beginning to acknowledge the shift. In Iraq, the Prime Minister's office released a statement this morning celebrating the country's new financial sovereignty, which many analysts interpret as a nod to the revaluation. In Vietnam, the central bank quietly updated its reserve status on its official site, reflecting significant new holdings in gold and other asset-backed instruments. And in Zimbabwe, the government held a closed-door briefing with its National Economic Council outlining how humanitarian project funding will be allocated in the first wave of ZIM redemptions. For years, the mainstream media has ridiculed the idea of a global currency reset. They've called it a conspiracy theory, a pipe dream. And yet here we are, watching it unfold in real time, quietly but undeniably, through official banking channels. This is history in the making, and those who took the time to understand, prepare, and position themselves are now seeing the payoff. As we move through the rest of the day and into the week, expect more reports of successful exchanges, verified receipts, and live funds. My contacts have told me they are processing steadily, with most redemption centers averaging 25 to 40 appointments per day, per facility. The focus is on efficiency, security, and accuracy, making sure every participant's funds are fully accounted for, every transaction is compliant, and every detail is documented in the QFS ledger. I'll say it again, this is not the time to hesitate. If you have your currencies, if you have your appointment, follow through. The rates we're seeing today are unprecedented, and once they're gone, they're gone.